So HR Powerhouse is a consulting firm. Before we continue, I would love to encourage each one of us to mute our mics. So as I had mentioned, HR Powerhouse is a consulting firm in the HR and organizational behavior. We do consulting both in HR and in corporate governance. So our vision is to work with corporates and ensure that we provide parallel services that will bring your organization at par with the industry. So we provide different services, including training, as what we have here is personal development and also professional development. And our in-house, our trainings are both in-house and open trainings in the fields that we can see in leadership, in corporate governance, and also in areas that you see have a gap in your organization. So we also provide recruitment services. We do end-to-end recruitment from executive searches to hiring and reference checking. And we also support organizations in doing job evaluation and psychometric testing. Apart from that, we also offer other solutions, and especially for SMEs, we offer outsourced services. We also work with you in developing performance management systems, HR policies and manuals, and also maybe other departmental manuals and policies. And we also do HR audits. We also work with professionals and people who are looking to develop their careers and also personal development through coaching and mentorship. We have worked with different companies in helping them develop their mentorship programs and also by capacity building their staff and employees to become better leaders. We also offer team building. So if you have and are planning an end-year team building this year, we are the best partners to come in and help you with the training. So apart from that, we also offer change management. We take you through change management, governance audit, and also strategic planning, review, and development. So we are looking forward to not only have you in our different webinars, but also work closely with you. Now to the business of the day. I don't want to go much further into what we do, because I will share some few offers we have later. But now I would love to invite an amazing speaker to do the business of the day and to talk about at the workplace.
Thank you very much, Madalena. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Super excited to be speaking to you all this morning. I see quite a number of my old friends and colleagues on this call, and it's really heartwarming to have you all this morning. So thank you for setting out the time to attend this webinar. Thank you, Madalena, for the opportunity and the HR Powerhouse for this opportunity to speak to your network on a topic that is very close to my heart. I've always pursued, or I've been in pursuit of happiness because it makes me full, it makes me happy to be happy. And my one purpose in life is to do my best to touch one life, even if one life every day. That's what I live to do. So we're going to spend the next 1 hour speaking to this topic. But honestly, what I would like to do is to speak from my heart and to share my own experiences. So I would love that, when we get to the Q&A, please put in your questions on the chat box. Raise your hand and ask questions. I would love to share from my personal life experiences. I know you can read about personal well-being and joy at work. There's so much material in the internet. But I want to share my own personal experiences and how I've navigated these topics as a person. I would love that today we make it a more interactive session, so please ask questions. I'm only going to speak for 15 minutes at a maximum, and then the rest of the time I'm happy to take questions and to speak to this topic at a more personal level. I will start with a quick intro to who I am. And I'll say, people call me the Chief Happiness Officer, and it's happened for a very long time. So I took it up and made my own. But I'm say my brand. Build a net, and people Sharon Kotut, people that to me care and me as a Chief Officer. I've been in HR for 18 years, and by some called to have information. Currently, I am the business partner or HR business partner for India, Middle East, and Africa at Musk. I've been with Musk for almost 10 years. I started out in Kenya as the HR for Eastern Africa. I've worked in media, conservation, manufacturing before. I have passions and hobbies that are very close to my heart. So one of those is farming. I am, I'm really trying on that end. I can't say I with some of the most prominent farmers, but it's something that I like to do. So I like to go back to the farm, and I have a few cows. I like to say this really openly also, that I'm very passionate about Africa. And I love the African culture. I love the African spirit. So I like to, that's where I find my energy, and even actually the joy and the color in my life. I find it in the African culture, the way we celebrate our ceremonies, the way we socialize as family or as community. It gives me so much joy and so much energy. So I'm a true Pan-Africanist, and I love Africans. I love an African man. I love African men. I think they're really beautiful and great. I have two boys. One is 13 in a week's time, and the small one is 3.5 years. So that's me. When I'm not working at Musk, I love to speak to people about HR and leadership. So if this is something that you want to hear about beyond this webinar today, you can always reach out to me. I also like to coach, but I also like to just listen to people. So if you want someone to hear you out, I like to do hear me out sessions. So if that's something that you want to do, please, you're welcome to reach out to me on that. Now, let's go to the topic of the day. When Madalina and HR Powers reached out to me, they wanted me to speak about positive living or joy in the workplace and personal well-being. And as I said, this is something that I really hold dearly, because I've realized over time, being in HR and being human, that you're at your highest peak, you are at your highest performance when you're joyful, when you're engaged, when you're happy with what you're doing. And this realization is something that I'm very intentional about every day. When I wake up in the morning, I tell myself, I want to be intentional about how I feel in the workplace and how I feel generally. Because, I mean, we spend so much time at work. We spend almost 3/4 of our day in the workplace. So what about we actually make it fun? And what about we make it joyful? And I know, and I'm very much aware, that there are external factors beyond ourselves, beyond our control, that influence our happiness. I'm very cognizant about that. But what can you do to ensure that even with these external factors, you still are able to control your day? You're still able to control your joy and your happiness. And I'm going to speak to that in a few minutes. And first is, for me, the realization of, why am I here? What is my ikigai? Why am I here? Why am I on earth? What's my purpose? What influence or what impact am I here for? All of us have our different purposes in life. But the moment you realize what your purpose is, you find joy. And the purpose then goes all the way to your workplace. I did education myself for my first degree. So I'm a teacher by training. And I remember my old folks when I graduated from college, and they were trying to find me a teaching job back in the village. They wanted me to teach in Kapkiton and I think Kesu because they had influence. They had their own influence. So they thought they could find me a teaching, a part-time teaching job. And I was very adamant and I said I was not going to teach because I wanted to work in corporate. And I think over time, I've realized that was the best decision that I made for myself. Irrespective that at that time, I actually didn't have so much power to influence my folk. I was really firm and I said I wanted to work in corporate. I was not going to teach. Otherwise, if I didn't do that, I would be teaching somewhere now, and maybe I wouldn't be living this life that I'm living at this moment. So finding your purpose, why are you here? Why are you on earth? When you start your day, what are you trying to accomplish or what do you want to accomplish? When you look at yourself 1 year from now, what do you want to be known for in your workplace, at home, and with the people that you interact with every day? What do you want people to say of you? And what you're saying now is what we call legacy. In another 20, 30 years, people will say there existed this person who lived their purpose. And living their purpose is every day. It's how you do your work. It's your work ethic. It's your attitude. It's you developing your expertise. It's you impacting the world or the community that you live in your smallest way. When you find that sweet spot, you find your joy. When you find that sweet spot for yourself, you find your joy. And as I said, I did education for my first degree. And I know there are many people here on this call today who are doing careers or professions that they didn't necessarily go to university for. And you realize that irrespective if you did medicine or law and you're doing something today that makes you happy, you realize that you're doing your purpose. And the moment you realize that you're doing your purpose, that's when your joy comes. So I hope through this webinar, you're able to reflect and say, how do I find my true note? How do I go back to exactly what I want to do for myself? The other thing that I wanted to share before I go directly to the topics that I was asked to share is believing in yourself. You have so much value, irrespective of where you come from, irrespective of your background, irrespective of your current environment. Your joy comes from inside of you. You can't expect to find joy and personal well-being from other people. It starts with you placing a value on yourself. It starts with you ensuring that first and foremost, you appreciate yourself. You acknowledge that you are a great person, you're unique, and you're here for a purpose. It starts there. If you discount yourself, if you show up in places half prepared, if you show up in places poorly dressed, if you show up in places stuttering and unprepared, then you're telling people that I'm not ready for this space. And that steals your joy. So being joyful, being happy, getting your well-being, it's ensuring first and foremost that you have a positive outlook to your personal self. And your personal outlook means taking care of yourself, being fully present, prioritizing the right things, preparing when you're required, and doing a fantastic job at whichever job or vocation that you decide to take. And sometimes we tend to look outwards and say, but XYZ is doing better than me. I see people moving faster than myself. And this happens a lot, especially now with social media. People are sharing the best side of their story, but nobody's telling you the struggles they're going through. Nobody's telling you that, they're struggling with imposter syndrome. People are not telling you that they're struggling with their own self-esteem. People are not telling you that they're struggling with their families. People are not telling you that they're struggling at the workplace. They're showing you the beautiful stuff, and then you feel that you're way, way behind. But that's not the reality. The reality is that life is seasons. Life is ups and downs. And there is the joyful part, and of course, the parts that we don't want to share, but that's the reality of life. Now, what about we remind ourselves that comparison is the thief of joy? What about we remind ourselves that while you're looking at the other person doing their thing, they are progressing while you're watching them? What about you progress yourself? What about you reflect on your own and say, how do I build myself to the highest level that I can? How do you set your goals for yourself to ensure that your personal value, your own well-being is taken care of? The other thing that I wanted to share, and then I'll go to my notes quickly, is people don't want to do work. People don't want to do things. And it gets into the way of your joy and well-being in the workplace. We tend to complain about our employers. We complain about our managers. But maybe the question I want to ask today is, are you doing your thing? Are you getting stuff done? And why are you paying a lot of attention to complaining and whining and spending all your time either gossiping or whining or whichever negative trait that you're keeping? I think, as Obama says, if you learn how to get stuff done, then people will recognize you. People will realize that you bring value to the team. And for you to find joy in the workplace, and I'm not going to say all leaders are great. They're great leaders, and they're leaders who sometimes you wonder why they got there. But that is the reality of the workplace. That's a reality in life. Not everyone is, really great. There are people that still need some help with their leadership journeys. But what about you think about what you can control? And what you can control is yourself. You may not be able to choose your leader unless you move from the organization that you work for today. Now, with the leader that you have today, you like them, you don't like them. What about you find a way around to work with them? What about you get to understand what they like, what the expectations are, and you try to manage them around that? What about you show up as your authentic self and ensure that every day you bring yourself as true as you are, no faking, no artificial filters, you just show up as yourself. And then the people around you will adjust. Now, let me quickly go back to the 5 items that HR Powerhouse asked me to speak about today. One is cultivating a positive mindset. And as I shared earlier, it's very important that you own your joy. You become your own cheerleader. Start with yourself. Love yourself. Show up with confidence. Love yourself. Love your scars. Love your inner self. Love your outer self. Show up fully as the person that you are. That will give you joy. When you identify that you're great, you're unique, that everyone around you actually carries scars and they have their own insecurities, then you know what? You're not badly off. We're all the same. Just show up and be a great person. And as you celebrate yourself, remember to genuinely celebrate others. When you recognize and celebrate others around you, the same joy, the same well-being comes to you. As I shared earlier, when you're creating your positive mindset, ask yourself, keep asking yourself, why am I here? What is my goal in life? What do I want to achieve for myself? When I've done my 80, 100 years on earth, what do I want people to remember me for? What impact do I want to create? And while you're doing this, create goals, vision boards for yourself, create targets for yourself, both in your personal life and in your professional life. Work on your own development. Don't wait for your employer to take you to school. Ask yourself, in another 5 years, 10 years, what do I want to be? And start working towards that. Remember, when we talk about a positive mindset, think progress over perfection. Don't wait until your English is the best. Don't wait until that complex project that you're working on is clear. Start step by step and ask for help. There are people who are way smarter in your organization than you think. Reach out to them. Reach out to someone that you're comfortable speaking to. Don't kill yourself overthinking or overanalyzing a project or an assignment that has been given to you. Speak to someone. Don't procrastinate on it. Reach out to people. There are people who are more than willing to help you. The other thing that I want to say is that when you think personal well-being and joy, always assume positive intention. Always assume that people mean well. And this could be very naive. I know sometimes people don't mean well, but assume that people mean well. And when you find out that they didn't mean well, move on. Move on. You can call out bad behavior, but sometimes it just means it was time to move on. So when you experience a situation where you feel that you're changed, I would say assume positive intent and move on where you feel that there is no need to rebuild that relationship. Now, we deal with stress at work, and it comes in different ways. It comes because of workload, maybe our relationships with our leaders, relationships. It could be we are not fully trained for the out where coming from. Figure out and find a solution to these problems. Don't just whine about it. Ask yourself, if it's a time resource, what do you need to deselect? If it's a time resource, what do you need to delegate? If it's learning and training that you need, how can you upskill yourself to ensure that you're moving fast? I realize there are people who maybe because their Excel skills or PowerPoint skills are very poor, they take 3 times the time a more proficient person will take. What about you become that proficient person? What about you invest time to develop your skills so that you're able to move faster? When we talk about stress management, I'll say also take your leave. Go on leave. I see people working full year without going on leave, or even 2 years, 3 years without taking time off for yourself. There is a life outside your workplace. For your well-being and joy, take time to spend time on your hobbies and interests. Take time to spend time with your loved ones, with your parents, with your siblings, with your kids. Do something for yourself. Go to the farm. Go look at that business that you're running on the side. Your job is here to, of course, build you and provide income for the day, but there is a life for you job. And you will realize that the moment you leave. When you leave the organization, you'll be forgotten. 1 year, 2 years down the line, people will have forgotten about you. And that manager, that organization that you're stressing about, they will move on. The organization will not close because you left. The organization will not close because you are unhappy. The organization will continue. So you better manage yourself and say, I have a job that I need to deliver on. Do your 100%, but also you have a life to live. So take your time out, go on leave, spend time with family, or even just do nothing. Take time off, joy in the small things that excite you. The other thing that is a key pain point for most people, and I see it a lot in engagement surveys, is work-life integration. And we like to call it work-life balance. And it keeps coming up, in the different engagement surveys or conversations that I have with people. But one thing that I realized personally over time is one, nobody's going to do it for you, even your leader. If you want work-life integration, you have to build it for yourself. You have to create a schedule for yourself, and you have to create boundaries. For me, I struggled quite a lot, especially when I moved from Kenya to the UAE, because during those days when I was in Kenya, I think there's something about staying longer in the office or looking busy. So I used to work very late. I would go to the office during the weekend. And then I moved here and I worked with people from different cultures. And they wondered, why are you working during the weekend? Why are you working this late? And they couldn't just, come around it. And my boss kept telling me, Sharon, you have nothing to prove. You're doing very well already. Plan your time, go and spend time with your kids. You have to find what works for you. I'm a night person. I'm a night owl. So from 4 p.m., 9 p.m., that's where my creativity juices, that's where I'm up and performance is high peak for me. What works for you? Are you a morning person? How do you prioritize work around your high energy levels? How do you organize yourself around your peak performance time? So 1, manage your time. 2, find out what works for you. Figure out how is your schedule now. If you can map it out and say, this is my schedule today, this is what is working for me, this is not working, then you plan around that. And then be very clear about your communication on what works for you. And I know some of us on this call today, you don't have that luxury, but build it over time. Build it with your leaders. Build it with people that you work with. so that they're able to understand your personal needs outside the workplace, that you have children that need to be dropped, that you have children that you have to go to in the evening and you can't stay late until 7 p.m. or 9 p.m. So create boundaries, communicate it clearly with the people that you work with so that they know what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Take help, ask for help, and give back when you can. I've spoken about this before in another forum. When you are a professional person, man, woman, and especially woman, you go to the office with your husband or your spouse in the morning. They will wake up to breakfast done. They don't know how it was done. Most of the men, and then you come back home at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and the first thing they do is they pick the remote. They are on their phone or they're on the newspaper, and they expect that as the woman you will cook, you will clean up, make sure that the kids are in bed, and that is where the difference comes in when we talk about women and men career progression. Now, as a woman, as someone who has to do all these things, please ask for help. Get someone to help you out, and then invest your time on things that make you happy. So if you can find a nanny, if you can find a washing machine, if you can find something that allows you to use your time on more productive things, on things that build you, then do that. Ask for help and take help. And the other thing on work-life integration, I know we've been prisoned by phones and social media. One thing that personally I'm still working on is when I'm at home, I want to be fully at home. So I realized when I come home at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., I don't open my laptop until the next day. When I take time for the weekend, I close my laptop on Friday, I'll open it again on Monday. And this means I plan well during the week so that things don't spill over to after hours and things don't spill over to the weekend. I think we can all try and figure out if that works for us. And again, I will repeat, I know this is may not be realistic for most, but this is something that I would ask that you aspire to, so that you find your balance, you find your well-being, you find your joy, because you've planned your time well and you're able to take time to rest and recuperate. As I said earlier, when you come to joyful productivity, learn how to get stuff done. We struggle today because people don't want to do anything. People don't want to do work. People want things repeated 1,001 times before it's done. I would say when work is given to you, do it impeccably, do a fantastic job. Let people look back and say, we've never seen someone do great work as you do. Build a standard for yourself. Don't go mediocre. You go hard or you go home. At work, in your personal life, give your best. Don't do things half-heartedly. Do it fully. When it's hot, it's hot. Don't go cold. And my best friend, maybe she's on this call, likes to tell me that I am too extreme. For me, it's either good, great, or bad. I don't use the word good. I hardly use the word good. I'm either excited and happy and it's great, or I always go for great. So if you can figure out what that great looks like and continue to perfect it with progress, with continuous mastery, then you'll get there. As someone who is in corporate or running your own business, learn your company strategy. Understand your company strategy, understand your company vision, understand your company mission. When you do this, it allows you to find your role in supporting the business strategy. It helps you understand what is expected of you. It helps you understand how you can use your purpose, how you can use your sweet spot to deliver on the company strategy, but also playing onto your passion, playing onto your strengths, and making money in the process. So try to understand, read up about your business. Speak to that finance person. Speak to that person in your trade finance organization. Speak to that person in sales, in commercial. Get to understand, what is our business about? What is competition doing? What are the current trends happening out there? When you do that, then you place yourself at a place of advantage. So don't make it an 8 to 5 job. Don't just go in the morning just because you have to. Show up and show up fully, understand your business, have conversations around the business. Understand the company structure and the company dynamics. There's so much politics around the organizational structure. So figure out who are the key influencers? Who are the opinion leaders in this organization? Who do I need to know? Who needs to have my back? Who do I need to manage? And have your emotional intelligence to learn how you navigate the office organizational structure and the office politics. Build a great relationship with your leader. Build a great relationship with your leader. Again, I have a friend who keeps telling me she's been very lucky. She's not had bad leaders. I've equally been very lucky. I've had great leaders. But I've seen also other people who I work with, who we report to the same leader, find that maybe that's not the leader for them. And there are reasons to it. But I would say, before you speak badly about your leader, reflect on your own self. Figure out, how do I make this relationship great? You may not have the greatest leaders of all, but figure out, for my own joy, for my own well-being, how do I navigate my relationship with my leader? How do I build a relationship that allows us to perform and to have a great work relationship? Your leader doesn't have to be your best friend, but at least if you can have things done, if you can go to the office in the morning knowing that nobody's going to scream at you, you're going to someone who you know has your back, then figure out how that works for you. Be proactive. Speak to them about the things that you're working on. Speak to them about your personal development. Reach out to them for guidance. Make them look important, and make sure that you make them proud. The other thing is build your network. So again, you have this job that you have today, or you have this business that you're running. Things are not permanent. You may move out, things may change. Your network will remain with you. So build your professional network, build your social network, and ensure that you are out there reciprocating the support that you get from them. Ask yourself, how can I be a better friend? How can I be a better professional friend? How can I be a better colleague? So build that network, because it comes in very handy when you need it. And lastly, I'll talk about building resilience. And I'll speak to this from a place of, I've lost a job before, I've been fired before. And it's not one of the easiest things to go through. I've also been through a redundancy, and thankfully I was declared redundant and I got a job immediately after. But from my experience sitting on this side of the table, speaking to people who've been affected by change, I've always made it a priority to guard my health through all these processes. So I take Sharon and put Sharon on the side and the issue on this side. And I know it's not always, like 100% I do that, but I have friends who check me out. I have really close friends who, when I find myself that I'm going into a rabbit hole, they put me out. But I try my best to guard my health. Your health is important. You can lose your job, you can lose wealth, you can lose things. Those ones you can still get them. They'll still come back to you. But you can't afford to lose your health because of your job. If it gets to a place where you are hypertensive, you have depression, you have, blood sugar because of a job, then it was time to rethink if that is the job for you. So as you build your resilience, don't also overstay in places where you're not wanted. Find your way out. If you feel that this is not the place for me, it's becoming toxic, find an opportunity somewhere else. And live in a good way. Don't burn bridges as you go. Find something that will work for you. And I also like to say, when you find another opportunity, please create a better image wherever you are. Maybe you struggled in your current or your previous, make it better. Make it better wherever you go. Don't allow bad things to follow you. Don't allow negativity to follow you. When you move on with positive energy, move on with a more clean spirit, move on with joy, move on with an expectation for great things to happen to you. Think about the great things happening to others and imagine that the same could happen to you. Don't take things personally. Don't take things personally in the workplace, in your personal life, whatever. It is a recipe for disaster. When things happen, and I sit in boardrooms, I sit in meetings where people almost kill each other, and people leave the room and they move on. I realize that sometimes when I take it personally, my heart is in pain for so many days, and people moved on. People moved on. They're on other things. You are allowed to mourn and to feel sad for a few minutes, maybe for a few hours, but you know what? Move on. Do something. Get some ice cream, get yourself coffee, get yourself tea, and move on. Because nobody is sitting with you in your pity party. People moved. So don't take things personally. If someone is not picking your call, someone is not responding to your emails, someone is not helping you out, don't take it personally. Assume positive intent, as I shared earlier. Continue to build yourself. Building resilience means you continue to build yourself. Because if you're working for a company, if you're building your own business, you're building your competencies, you're building your skills will enable you to move to the next level. So don't just sit because you got a job, because you're earning a salary. Don't make it a routine and just stay in one place. Continue to build yourself and prepare yourself for anything. Work on your financial freedom. Building resilience means focusing on your financial freedom. And that allows you to make decisions. It even allows you to decide that this year I'm not working because I built my financial freedom. How do you do that? Look at your income. Look at where you're bleeding. Where is your money going? And if you can save a few more coins from what you earn, then you're on your way towards building your financial freedom and your financial security. Don't allow all your money to go into KFC and Burger King and I don't know which joints in Nairobi. Put your money in places that will build you. People are living flashy lives out there, but that may not be for you. And choose different. Even if your friends are doing different, choose different. Say, no, this is not the life that I want to live. I want to do differently. And lastly, one last item before I allow for questions. So if you have questions, please then put them in the chat box and Madalena will read it out. Or Madalena, maybe you'll allow people to unmute and they can ask questions. But lastly, lead yourself. Lead yourself. Would people accept to be led by you? If you can't lead yourself, how do you expect other people to accept for you to lead them? And leadership doesn't mean having people reporting to you, having people under you. Leading yourself is in being control of your life. If you can't put your own house in order, how are you going to put someone else's house in order? Leading yourself helps you to stay in a place of zen, in a space of well-being, in a space of joy. So lead yourself, accept who you are, change what you can, but be a role model. Don't expect to change other people if you cannot influence them, if your behavior cannot influence them, if your work ethic cannot influence them. So be a great person, do what you can to lead yourself and to be a great role model to the people around you. I will stop there, and now I'm happy to take questions, then we'll go to closing. Madalena, back to you.
Thank you so much. I think you are talking to everyone individually. It's amazing to know that joy doesn't just come. You also have to put in the work and find joy yourself. So thank you so much for that. There are some two questions. I would also encourage each one of us to send the questions and comments. And then if you have any question that you want to raise, you can just raise your hand. So Sharon, Lucy is asking, what do you do when people you trust betray you?
What do you do when people you trust betray you? It happens. And I've realized most recently, even people, your own family members can betray you. Colleagues can, your leader can. So this is the reality of life. This is adulting. This is the reality. What I would personally do is I make choices. And I also truly tell people the same thing. If I find that the betrayal is something that I cannot get out of, or I can't go back and rebuild the trust, I cut people off. And I do it and move on swiftly. If there is no need to rebuild that relationship, there is no need to rebuild that trust, I cut the relationship and I move on. And we can relate from a distance. I'm not going to block you fully, but we can relate from a distance. You don't have to be in my space. I don't have to be in your space. But let's keep our joy. Let's keep the relationship, but from a distance. So let's say hi, how are you doing? And move on. And the other thing is that if it's family or someone that you are to build a relationship with, I think it's important to talk to them. And sometimes people don't listen or don't want to hear you out. But keep repeating the same thing, keep repeating, and stay true to who you are. If you felt betrayed, if you felt that you were treated badly, let it be known. Let that person know that you didn't appreciate what they did, you didn't appreciate how they treated you. Let them know. And if they are willing to rebuild that relationship, rebuild it. But don't sit with betrayal. Don't sit feeling the pain and the burden yourself. Make sure it's known to the other person that you didn't appreciate the behavior. If it's in the workplace, again, as I said, check it out. If it's a relationship that it's okay, you don't have to go back to it, then you may want to make it known to the other person or not, but just know for the future that how am I going to relate with this person? How am I going to build a relationship with them beyond the betrayal? I hope that
Great.
helps.
Thank you. I hope, Lucy, your question has been answered. Evangelist is asking, what do you do when your superior is not willing to help you in their career journey just because she has majored in a different career and is feeling like HR is just enslaving her?
Good question. Thank you very much. I believe that your career builder is not just your leader or your HR. There are so many people around you, including the network that I spoke about, that will help you elevate to the next level. So if you find out that your leader or your HR or whoever is not willing to support you, figure out who else in your ecosystem can help you out. And while you do that, try to build a relationship with those people also so that they know where you're going. One thing that I've learned over time is some leaders are also insecure, and I think it's human, and I think it's okay. So what I also try to do is please help your leader understand that you're there to make them succeed, to make them proud. So when you do a fantastic job, let them take the medal. Let them take, appreciate them. Tell them that you're doing well because of them. And over time, they will warm up to you because sometimes people think it's a competition and you're out to take their jobs. Just know the boundaries. Just know where not to step into. And as you do this, let them know that you're making them proud, that whatever you're doing it because you want them to succeed and you want the best for them. So navigate the relationship around how they feel about your career growth. If you're not getting the help that you need from your leader, there's so many other people inside your business or outside your business that are willing to support you with your career. So don't wait for one person. And then remember, leaders leave, and you will also leave at some point. So don't overly obsess over it. I was thinking about it the other day. People leave. And then you're like, so XYZ actually can leave the business. People leave. So don't overly obsess over it. Build yourself. Don't overthink it. But just understand, how do I navigate this relationship as I build my career?
Okay, great. Some very good comments coming. Many thanks, Sharon, for the insightful presentation. Also, great presentation and very relevant. There's a question, could you comment on wellness at work for a pregnant lady, especially on high pressure and tight deadlines jobs?
Thanks, Madalena. I'll say one, have your leader understand how you're feeling, your health generally, but I'll say also plan your time around how you feel. I've had 2 kids, so I've been pregnant twice. When you feel energetic and high performing, till you're 200% there. So that when you're low, your leader knows that when you are there. So irrespective, even in your own personal life, let it be known that when you are there. So that when you need an opportunity to be away, people will say, you know what, you've done your job before, please take your time off because you are dependable, because you are reliable. People know that ukiwa uko, kuna watu wakiwa wako. And then there are people that cannot be dependent on. So be that person who, when you need time off, when you're going through this personal phase of having your children, building your family, ensure that when you are high peak, do a fantastic job so that when you need time off, then it's easy for your leader to say, you know what, take time off, because when you're here, you're truly here. So give your best and let it be known and ask for help. As I said earlier, you have colleagues in your, not necessarily your leader, but even your peers who are willing to take off some work from you and help you out. And don't feel sad about it. It's okay. You will come back from your maternity leave and you will pick up from there. So don't feel sad delegating to colleagues or asking colleagues for help. They will for sure help understanding your situation.
Great. Another comment is that you're a very good webinar, learning a lot, especially dealing with imposter syndrome. That is believe in myself. Yes, I think you can also comment something about imposter syndrome because it's something that really affects us.
Yeah, so thanks, Madalena. I know this is a big thing, right? So I feel I've had different roles. I've had almost 7 roles working for Mask. And every time I've taken a new role, I've panicked. I've panicked like, oh my God, I'm dead. How will I do this? I have a new leader. It's a new role. I'm going to fail, or I've even failed. You know, I failed before I even start. But over time, I've learned that if you know that you've succeeded before, and you have a great track record, and you've been through complex days, you've been through complex times, and you've succeeded, you'll also succeed here. So what I've learned is to dig into the days that I was successful, the days that I panicked, but I still succeeded anyway. And I use that energy now. Now, this imposter syndrome needs to go. And I tell myself every day, I took a new role a few months ago, and I kind of struggled at the start. But I've been recognizing that emotion, that feeling was important. Speaking about it to my very close friends was very important because it allowed me to move on. And my moving on was me digging into the great things that I did before and figuring out for this new role, how do I ensure that I perform? What are the key deliverables? What are the key expectations from my new leader? What are the key expectations from my new business that I'm supporting? Once you know that and you work towards it, take the help that you need, take the criticism, and take the praise and grow towards it. Then you'll find out that you're actually growing. This is part of your growth. And it's uncomfortable, it's painful, but it's necessary. As I said earlier, don't take things personally. Every time I start out with a new leader, I find that we're very different. Or I find some that we are the same. But I hardly find people actually that are like me. So I find people that are very different than me, people who are either directing their communication, people who are either, you know, a certain way. And I find that over time, in 1 to 3 months, we find a rhythm. So it's okay. The first 3 months may be uncomfortable. It may go against your style of doing things. Your new leader could be different from your old leader. Your new tasks could be complex and you know, things that you've not done before. But remember, in 1 3 months, you'll have picked up and you'll be running. So don't again spend a lot of time thinking about the imposter syndrome. Get in and smash it. When I enter a room, I usually enter with energy, and then people are like, oh, wow, who is this person? And then keep that energy high. So don't allow yourself, when you start out, don't go in like you've been rained on. Go in like you are here and you deserve to be here. And it doesn't matter the color of the people in the room. It doesn't matter the gender. It doesn't matter the level. Just go in because you are in that room. You are in that role for a reason. You deserve it. So don't doubt yourself. And when doubt comes, speak to it. Tell it, doubt, go away. I'm here because I deserve it and I have what it takes to be in this room. And continue to deliver. Continue to deliver and to take feedback. The other thing that I would say, Madalena, before I go, and I would say maybe focus on the questions. Don't worry about the compliments. We will read those once we're done. Is perfect your work as you go and take feedback and communicate. So if to kill the doubt, ask people, how am I doing? So in a room, if you're in a team of 10 people, get 5 to 7 people that you like to work with, or even 3 people that you like to work with in that team. People will be honest with you and tell them, how am I doing? What is working well? What could be better? And then over time, continue to get feedback from them. People that you know that they will not judge you and they'll support you. At least speak out from that room and say, how am I doing? What could I do differently? And continue building on that. And it's okay to look stupid. It's okay to ask silly questions. At least ask something. Say something. Don't just go into rooms and keep quiet until people go.
Okay, thank you. Another question is, What is your advice for someone, especially this happens to women who have a career gap? How do you bounce back?
Thank you, Madalena. I think anyone can bounce back. I've seen people who are fired. I've seen people who are retrenched. I've seen people who went on maternity leave or took breaks bounce back. Now, it's not easy. It may take time to bounce back, but it will eventually happen. So first and foremost, keep hope alive. Don't lose hope. It may take 1 year, it may take 2 years. Be patient. If you really want to get back to corporate, if you want to get back to your career, be patient about it. Don't beat yourself over it. Sometimes people say, oh, I've lost so much. Oh, nobody wants to interview me because of this. There will be one person who will want to hire you at the end. So don't give up. That's one. Two, use your network. Use your network. Before you went on maternity leave, before you were declared redundant, you had a network. Reach out to them. Ask for help. Tell people that you're looking. Don't just keep quiet and expect that it will fall on your lap. The other thing is continue to build on your skills. Continue to build on your skills. So if you've been out of employment for 1, 2 years, honestly, I can't imagine that you're just sitting at home, scrolling through Facebook and doing nothing. There is so much to do. What about you build skills around your area? What about you read up about the current trends in your field? What about you speak to people in your field about the things that you're learning? So don't just sit at home and do nothing. People are spending their whole time on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Before you know it, the day is gone. What about you develop skills? There are so many free webinars or free courses on Coursera and other places that you can do. And you can use those to have conversations with potential employers in future. Now, it's okay to start at a lower level when you bounce back. You may not get the job that you had before. I think if you want to get back to it, you can always accept to take a lower role and grow into it, because it's better to take a lower role than to stay at home longer. So if you find an opportunity even to do an internship, to be part of a project, to do an assignment somewhere, take it, because that's your entry into going back to full-time employment. Again, don't beat yourself too much. Don't overanalyze. Don't say, oh, I went home now, I got a child, I'm too fat, I'm ugly, I am, this. Don't. Your future employer will take you as you are. So build your confidence, look good, and present yourself confidently.
Thank you. We have so many questions, but we are going to take 2 more. How do you deal with toxic coworkers?
I think I spoke to it when we started out.
Yes.
Again, this is the world. You will never miss a toxic person, even in your own family. There are toxic people. There are people who wake up, I don't know if they wake up in the morning and they say, today I'm going to ruin 10 people's lives. And you wonder why. So first and foremost, I deal with them with a smile. You know what? Yeah, things are hard already. Remember, these are people who could be having their own personal difficulties in life, their own trauma that they brought to the workplace. Don't allow that garbage to land on you. People are carrying garbage, don't allow it to land on you. I'll give a not very popular story. My son used to tell me, someone in school is bullying him when he was younger. And I'll say, Shama, next time, if that boy does it, bite them on the face, and I'll come to the office if your teacher calls me. Don't allow people to bully you. Don't allow people to bring their toxicity into your life, including your boss. Build boundaries. Say no, say I don't accept it. And sometimes you realize when you stand up to toxic people, they stop because they're looking for a weak person. They're looking for someone who they can protect, who they can, throw their garbage onto. Don't be that person. Refuse. Qatar, you have your own life to live. One, Qatar, to be a part of a miserable person's misery. You have your own miseries. Don't swallow Panadol for someone else. You will realize toxic people actually find joy in making life hard for others. So don't allow yourself to be that person who will get into that situation. Now, the reality, as I said, is it happens. It could be your leader. It could be a colleague. Ask yourself, what are our connection points? What is necessarily important for me to connect with this toxic person? And limit your interaction to that. Keep things professional. Keep things data-driven, so no feelings, no emotions. If you're dealing with an assignment or you're working on something, keep it professional, no emotions. When it gets emotional, say, let's go back to the issue. It's not about you, it's about the issue. So keep going back to the issue. Leave the person, leave the emotions out of the conversations. And then, as I said, stand up for yourself, speak for yourself, and don't allow it to happen to you.
Great. Another one question is, how does one build genuine professional relationships? What if there's no common ground on which it sets off to set off the relationship? Then how can one cope with negative energy and defamation to divert your focus at workplace?
The first one was on what?
How to build professional relationships.
Yes, how to build professional relationships.
Mm.
Start yourself. Don't wait for people to reach out to you. You will speak to maybe 10 people, and out of those 10, you'll find 1, 2 people that you have common interests. You may speak to 100 people, and out of those 100, you get 5. So keep doing it until you find someone who you connect with, and you'll connect to people for different reasons. So there's someone you go to for X, there's someone else you go for Y, there's someone else you go to for X. So you may not find everything you need in one person. Build those relationships. You can have different people you speak to for different reasons, because you don't have a clone out there. There is no one like you out there. So you have to ask yourself, why do I need Sharon? Why do I need Madalena? How can I build a relationship with Victoria? How can I build a relationship with Susanna? And what am I getting from this relationship? What is the benefit? What's the mutual benefit? And once you're there, also don't just expect to receive. Give also. Bring something to the table. Don't just come in and do nothing. Say something, bring something to this relationship. So again, create diverse networks for yourself. You can't find everything you need in one person. I think we've spoken about the other was negativity, right? And defamation.
Yeah.
I think the previous slide, you don't have anything to prove, is I think something that you can go to. People are malicious and people can do strange things. You can ignore and carry yourself with so much dignity and with so much respect. And over time, it may go away. If it doesn't go away, then maybe it's an opportunity to call it out. And things happen. I'm very much aware that things happen in the workplace. People can say a lot of nasty things about people, but you know what? You can choose what to pay attention to, because the gossip and the bad things that they're talking about is not going to pay your bills. It's not going to grow your career. So focus on what is important for you. If you find that it's too much over time, then maybe it was time to exit and move on to something else. So don't pay a lot of attention to it. Figure out what is important for you. If this is someone you can speak to and say, hey, I don't like what you're talking about, maybe you can. But you know what? Sometimes I realize that when you ignore, it dies off. So carry yourself with confidence, do a fantastic job, deuces, move on.
Thank you so much. We have so many questions. I don't think we would answer them all, but all your questions inform our next webinars. So keep following us. Follow us on LinkedIn. Also, I saw a question on how to get this recording. We are going to post it on LinkedIn. So also follow us on LinkedIn, and you're going to get much more insights on these and many other issues. So I'm going to thank you, Sharon. There are so many great comments on the chat. You can have a look at them. And it has been an amazing presentation. So we are honored to have you today and to speak about something that affects us all, both at a personal level, at our workplaces, with the people we work with. And it's amazing that we have learned how to go about it. So next month's webinar, it's also important to remind us that these webinars happen every month and they are free of charge. You don't have to pay. It's good to keep in touch and just see what we have next month and the dates. But next month, we're going to talk about chaplaincy in leadership and at the workplace. So I'm hoping to see you all then. The other thing I would love to put out across as we end is our ongoing offer. We offer CV writing and LinkedIn profile revamp. And we have an offer that is running through this month. So we are, sorry, Lucy, we are requesting you that if you need a CV revamp, if you're applying for a job and you need that CV, you can write to us at through our email address, or you can write to resume@hrpowerhouse.co.ke. HR Powerhouse, resume@hrpowerhouse.co.ke. So I would also love to work with you more and more. So reach out to me if you need any other thing. I'm gonna share some of the notes with you later, and I'm hoping to see you in our future webinars. So thank you so much for attending, and may God richly bless you. Thank you so much. And this is the end of our webinar. I'm gonna say a short prayer, because at HR Powerhouse, we also believe in God. So let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you this afternoon. Thank you because of helping us even understand and comprehend that joy and personal well-being at the workplace is important, and we should work towards it. Help us to even contemplate on what we've learned. We pray for blessings upon Sharon. Thank you for helping her and also being with her as she has taken us through an amazing, amazing session. And now, Father, even at our workplaces, we pray that you may give us joy and also help us to work on ourselves, oh God. Help us to always gain favor in the eyes of our colleagues, in the eyes of our leaders, and Father, Lord, even in your eyes. Bless the work of our hands. In Jesus' name we pray and believe. Amen, amen, amen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. God bless you. You're free to leave. If you need anything else, I'm gonna stay up for the next 3 or 4 minutes. You can just talk to me. Thank you so much.